All right, let me open us in prayer. I'm sure folks will still be jumping in, but that's okay. I'll let them in as they arrive. Uh, Dear Heavenly Father, thanks for this evening and just the opportunity to share about just a really awesome trip. Actually, a trip we just took in the spring. So it's fresh in my mind, and Lord, we're just thankful for the opportunity that we'll have to kind of kick our year off, spending some time together and some reflection in the beautiful country up in the Black Hills, and some time of service to others and learning about a different culture, and just a really, really special 5 days together. We ask for a blessing on this evening. In your name we pray. Amen. Okay, so here's how I find that these work really well. Number one is I'm just going to kind of go through a presentation. You'll see the presentation has got almost like a day-to-day schedule. I am not going to read this thing to you. Again, this presentation is going to go out to you tomorrow. So I'm going to add my sort of editorial notes as we go through this and kind of share what my experience is like, just to give you a real sense of the whole picture of it, not just the from 7:30 to 8:30 we eat breakfast. I'm not going to do that. I want you to get more of a fuller picture. Otherwise, I could send you an email and we could all move on with the rest of our evening. So I'm going to kind of go through and use the structure of the slide deck to help guide me through kind of my quote unquote storytelling. I should wrap up this slide deck in about 20 minutes or so. So if possible, if you could save your questions to the end, that'd be awesome. If you feel like it's a poignant question for that moment, feel free to unmute and ask your question kind of in the moment. That's totally cool too. Okay, so you can kind of see these are actually pictures from our trip. We literally just went just a few weeks ago. Normally our 8th grade trip is in the fall, just like yours is going to be, but with COVID, it got pushed to the spring. Also, normally over the past decade and a half, we have we've taken our 8th graders to Rehoboth, New Mexico, and that kind of ran its course. I mean, it was a good experience, but we thought, okay, let's do something different. And we've partnered with Simply Venture, who runs our 6th grade trip, and they're an unbelievable partner. Just a deeply faithful, small business, but they do an unbelievable job of running these trips. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we kind of dive in. And it's not just they buy our tickets and they schedule our buses. It's not that. They're a fuller experience, which I think is what's awesome for our kids. Those are just shots from our kids. So on the far right and the far left of this picture is our students serving. And I'll get into the one on the far right in a little bit. The one on the left is us actually serving the camp, Stone Mountain Center, Stone Mountain Ranch, where we stayed. So that's us giving back to literally the place that we stayed. Those cabins in the background of that picture are on site there. Where those girls are sitting on that bridge, there's a creek. You can see it obviously right there. That runs right at the Stone Mountain. And so we kind of took a little small hike along that, and it was a gorgeous morning. And then the next one over, third from the left, second from the right, this picture, let's see here, that's the dining hall. That's where we ate breakfast and dinner each day. So let me kind of push forward here. The focal points for the trip are you can see there again. I'm not going to read these to you, but service is number one. So we talk a lot about redemptive compassion on the trip. What's our opportunity to just give of ourselves, to get totally out of ourselves and give to others. And what's really neat is there's different opportunities. There's giving to the center we stayed at, there's giving to our classmates, and there's giving to this organization called Love Inc., which I'll get to in just a minute. And so there's several opportunities of service, and it's great. And then the cultural immersion. Quincy came and spoke to us and shared about the Lakota. And that was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing experience for our kids. In fact, some of our kids say that was the highlight of their trip, was that evening and him kind of sharing his stories. It was awesome. Adventure, trying something new. Obviously, we're going in September, so we won't have the snow issue, I assume. But we had some snow on this past trip, and the hike that we took was in snow for the whole nearly 7 miles. And so that was intense. That was adventurous. It was pretty cool. A lot of stories to tell there. And then, of course, a bunch of team building and bonding, building relationships. And the beauty of all 3 of our middle school trips being in the fall is you launch into the school year with your brand new classmates on a trip, doing something together, right? Shoulder to shoulder. Oh, sorry, it's my watch. Shoulder to shoulder with a classmate while serving others. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then just the experiential ed is just out there, just kind of getting to know some things. So here's kind of a an overview of day 1. We arrive at school. Oh, I got someone that wants in. We arrive at school early Monday morning. Day 1 is Monday, 7 a.m. We arrive. It's got to be sharp because we've got the buses and vans and all that stuff ready to go. Time to get the stuff on because we are departing school at 7:30. That's really important. We're going to stop at the Mammoth sites, and then you can see that the drive is not too bad. That's one thing with the Rehoboth trip. The drive was really long, and it basically consumed an entire day, whereas this doesn't. It still leaves time for some evening, some team building, lower ropes course type stuff, some dinner, and some different things like that. So that day 1, and honestly, part of the fun of the trip is actually is the traveling to and from. And then our next day 2, we get up crack of dawn, 7:30. It's not the crack of dawn for me, but it's crack of dawn for an 8th grader. And you can kind of see a list of different events that we do there. Crazy Horse is a pretty awesome place. I've been to the Black Hills a couple times, and I'm not, for whatever reason, I had never gone to the Crazy Horse. It is awesome. Man, was that really cool. And then this, that 9 a.m. hike, that's the one I was telling you about. Stunning views. And you get to this tower, literally, it's like it's a tower made of rock brick type thing. Man, it's incredible. And you can see forever up there. It's really, really, really interesting. And then you'll see at that 5 o'clock is that cultural immersion piece. And that's the part with Quincy. That's pretty awesome. And then redemptive compassion training. And the reason that it's called training is because once we hit Love Inc., and I'll get to that in a minute, we really kind of put all of our learning, all of what we know about service, all of what we know about giving to others, totally into action. And then you'll see that each night is that building connectivity. They have a fire pit down at the end of that creek by that bridge. Let me say it this way. Most of our students said that the reflection time each evening was their highlight. So we did all these really cool experiences, but the reflection time on the cool experiences and how it impacted their faith, many of them said that was really a highlight. We break into small groups and we do some real deep dive sharing. And it's really, really, it's a great evening. An adult kind of chaperones each small group. So I had the pleasure of doing that with my group. And you really take a deep dive into the day. And it's pretty special. And then you can see, so day 3 is Wednesday, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Again, breakfast, and actually our kids were so tired, we let them sleep in for an extra half hour on this particular day. But nonetheless, we do a service all morning. So back in the early where you saw the students kind of sanding down those Adirondack chairs, we did about 30 of those chairs for Storm Mountain Center. So we lived there, they fed us, and we were able to give back. And it was amazing. We saved them, we did a whole man hours, person hours lesson. And we basically saved them a week's worth of work in one morning, because our kids were incredible. We had to sand every nook and cranny of about 30 of those chairs. Our kids were awesome. So I'm not sure what the project will be when we get there in September. But nonetheless, it was an amazing experience. And the kids felt good about giving back. And we also helped their recycling, and we did some other stuff for them at the Storm Mountain Center. And it was a really good experience. We have lunch there, and then we kind of take off. We head out to Mount Rushmore, which is cool. Even if you've been there before, it's okay. It's still something really interesting and cool. And then Lance, who owns and runs Simply Venture with his wife, Sasha, Lance is a former history teacher. And so he kind of leads us through all this, and it's really cool. After Mount Rushmore, you can see at 3 o'clock there, we go to the caves. I think I have a picture in the previous. Yeah, so there's on that right side there, that's a picture of the cave. Man, is it awesome. I don't know if you've ever been to a cave. I've been to a cave before, but it was still really, really cool because it's different. And for some of our students, I asked, and I would say at least a third, maybe a half, at least a third had never been to a cave before. And so for them to see all the geology and all that, and they opened the cave just for us. So that was kind of cool. And then there's a cultural exchange. This year, it didn't work because of COVID, of course. At that 5 o'clock, the cultural exchange, we're going to try and do that in the fall. No guarantees, but we're going to try and connect with the Lakota youth on a real just chill level. And then again, we've got the more training so that Love Inc. goes well on the next day. We'll talk about that in a second. And then again, the building connectivity, the small groups around the campfire. And just so you know, you'll see that not every second of every day is planned in here. So sometimes when we're back at Storm Mountain Center, they have a game room. The kids played Foursquare like crazy, carpet ball, foosball, ping pong. And there's in September, it'll be gorgeous. So kids can be outside, and we're kind of self-contained. We're like kind of in this valley. Kids were climbing up the side of the mountain a little bit. They were going down by the creek, and so that will even be more on this trip. I mean, it is stunningly gorgeous. So nonetheless, we're going to try and have a campfire and a reflection each night. That 10 o'clock lights out, it's probably closer to 10:15. But those are long days and the kids are exhausted. I mean, we go. We don't waste any time at all. I mean, we flat out go. Day 4. So day 4, you can see those are two of the groups from this week, or this past trip. Love Inc. So Love Inc. So Love, and then Inc. INC is in the name of Christ. That's what the INC stands for. Kind of cool. So we go and they give us projects. So the group that's actually on the far right with Cayman and who is that? I can't tell who that is. Caitlin, maybe. On the far right, so Love Inc. works a lot with the homeless. And so those girls are at a church, and they basically use this old church, beautiful old brick church, as a storage facility right now. They open the doors and there is there's like beds, some beds, couches and lazy boys. I mean, stacked 15 feet high, 15 feet high. And basically what we had to do on our group, we had to get it all out of the church. And when I say Lazy Boys, they probably had 35, maybe 40 of them. We had to get them all out, all the bed frames out, all the couches out, all the miscellaneous stuff out, sort through the mattresses, throw out the junk, and then put it all back in, totally organized and sorted. You want to talk about a sense of accomplishment. Our kids they were like a tsunami of help. They were absolutely amazing. I could not have been more proud. And then Lucas on the left, they were in a different warehouse, and I think right there Lucas has taken apart some storage shelving units to kind of reorganize those. So we made a huge difference. Another one of our groups, so what they do with this furniture that we did is another one of our groups comes and gets kind of a set of furniture, and they go out to the homes of these, so they have a house, they're not homeless per se, but they can't afford furniture. And so what another one of our groups, they got in these kind of box trucks and delivered the furniture. So they got an opportunity to meet the families that all this work was being done for. So all this work was being done behind the scenes. And one of our groups got to go out and see the families and meet one of them met this little squirt, I mean, probably 3 years old, 4 years old. And so they actually got to see these families receive our service. That's just a priceless experience, right? So that was really cool. Just to be able to provide our kiddos with that is pretty special. And then they had some other service jobs, and you saw at the very beginning slide, that mural on the right. So Love Inc. built this new building that had this big giant blank wall on the outside by the parking lot. And they had it all stenciled out with all these mountains and trees, and then our kids, and we kind of stacked this group with the artists because we knew what their job was going to be. And they got to paint the entire mural. It was probably 50 feet wide, and it was probably from bottom to top 10 feet. And they got to paint all day on a gorgeous, beautiful day in Rapid City. And they got to paint and fill in this mural. And so you can kind of see this mural come to life. Man, it was pretty special. It was pretty special. And then day 5, so there's us moving the couches. There's some other folks taking apart the thing. So that's one of the chairs, 30 or 40 chairs that we moved. So then the 5th day, which is Friday, get up, breakfast, and then we hit the road. And then we stop in Lusk, Wyoming for breakfast. So we order lunch. So we order lunch ahead of time at the place that we always stop in. Lance always stops there on this particular trip. And then the kids just hang out in the park, and it was a beautiful day that day. And we just had our salads, or the kids had sandwiches, or they had plenty of food. That's one thing. They do not starve. They have unlimited food. It's amazing. And then we get to school about dinner time, plus or minus. I send out reminds, kind of sending out just kind of updates. Hey, we're leaving Lusk, Wyoming after lunch. We're about 4 or 5 hours out. And then I'll let you know when we're an hour out and 30 minutes out. So just to kind of keep you posted. On the communications piece, we do, I have a Google photo album that all the teachers pile into. Lance piles pictures into. And so we just pile pictures in. And then what I did each night is I just sort of sent a narrative out in a Google Doc, and I just kind of give a paragraph. Today we blah, 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 blah. And so just to give you a sense of what each day was like, I give you kind of a narrative. I'm not sure I'll go on this next one in the fall. I may or may not. But someone will give kind of a half a page of this is what we did, and then we upload all our pictures. Their Wi-Fi is not amazing, so it takes a little while to upload our pictures. And then we send you pictures, send you a narrative narrative of the day, and your kids have a great experience. I'm gonna, I think that's a good start. Let me just kind of give you, I'm just looking at my notes here. Okay. As well, I don't think we're going to have COVID issues. They, up in South Dakota, just full transparency, they have a different perspective than we do on COVID, which is fine. We lived by our rules. So we were masked up when we were inside as much as we could. When we were outside, we gave the kids a mask break. I don't think we're going to be in COVID, but you just don't know. But all the measures are in place. So one of the measures was we reduced the number of students in each cabin, or in each room / cabin, depending on where they were living. Obviously masks, things like that. Took temperatures every single morning. We checked in on symptoms every single morning. So we would just implement that if we had to. Hopefully we don't. But I think that's about it for my presentation. I wanted to be done about 7:25, started at about 7:05. So I wanted to be done there. And then I'm going to unshare my screen. And by the way, this slide presentation I just went through, I'm sending it out in my follow-up email tomorrow morning, along with this video. So let me stop sharing my screen. And let me open up. And that's good for now. Okay, so do you have any wonderings or any questions? Hopefully I covered most of it. It's an awesome trip. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's awesome. It's really fun. Getting away, experiencing a different culture is really good. So you don't have to have questions, by the way. There's no pressure to have questions. I'm just throwing it out there. If you have questions, fire away and I'll do my best that I can to answer them.
Hey Tyler, is this mandatory, like strongly encouraged, or optional, this trip?
Not optional. We want students to go. I mean, I can't hog tie the students to go. But we really want them to go. Yeah. So I'll just tell you, I've been at Denver Christian about 25 years. We've done class trips pretty much every year of that in some way, shape, or form. And I will just tell you, the students that don't go, there's something missing there. You're not able to tell the stories, especially at the beginning of the year. Remember when it was so fun when depending on the trip. And so I all but pressure our students to go. It's like, and some students will say, well, I've never been away from home and things like that. What better place to experience in a real safe environment, going on a trip with all your good buddies. It's pretty, so I can't strap a kid to the roof of the bus and make them go, but they'll feel a tremendous amount of pressure from me to go in a really kind, loving Dr. Amadon way. Does that answer your question, Natasha?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I assumed it's like all the other trips, but I was just curious.
Yeah.
Are there chaperones, like parent chaperones that go along, or they provide all that?
Yeah, we provide all that. The teachers and Simply Ventures staff the whole thing. Yeah.
Tyler, like other trips, are you encouraging the kids to earn their own money or part of their own money for this trip? Like you have?
I always encourage that. so, well, some of you don't know, I have two kids. Both my kids are in college, but they both have gone on the middle school class trips. And I made them earn every penny of it. One, I'm a Christian school educator, so it was part of the deal. Second of all, they had a better sense. That's a good question, Wendy, by the way. Thank you. There's an ownership piece to the trip. I think it enriches the experience. So my kids were picking up poop in the backyard and mowing lawns and babysitting and doing all kinds of jobs. My kids also quickly learned that other people pay better than I do. And so they were out mowing other people's lawns and different things like that. And they earned every penny. And it does create a sense of ownership in the trip. And so, yes, I would totally encourage that. Thank you.
Did you post the dates yet, or did I miss that?
Yeah, I was on the first slide.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. September 13th, the week of September 13th. Yeah. And honestly, that's why I have to do these conversations in the spring, because man, you roll into August and all of a sudden this trip is like right around the corner. And for us to get all the I's dotted and T's crossed, we kind of have to start this process now. In order for us to not be in panic mode in end of August, early September. So yeah, September 13 through whatever, 17. Yep. Any other questions? Always the sign of a good presentation. Of course, now I'm going to get 20 questions just to prove me wrong. We good? All right. So if like we hang up here and you're like, I forgot to ask this, just send me an email or send the question in with your kiddo and they can stumble by my mobile desk and ask me the question, and then I'll try and help them figure that out. So
Okay, I have a question out of
yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
When is registration due? When would you like us all registered by?
I don't know. Tomorrow at lunch would be perfect.
Done. Okay.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, as soon as possible. I mean, that's probably the standard answer, but obviously we've got several months. But what we always find is like we have these conversations for our 8th grade trips. And then like if it doesn't happen in the first 48 hours, 72 hours, then I feel like I'm chasing people for the next 3 months. So, because it kind of just falls off, right? It's kind of like the news cycle. So if you think of it and you can kind of get in and do it, that would be awesome. Oh, and you'll notice there's 2 links. When you go into the Black Hills, you'll register with Simply Venture, but you'll pay through Denver Christian, but it'll make sense on their website. Okay. But yeah, so what, as soon as you can, I mean, whatever. I mean, if it's middle of June, I'm not going to lose any hair over that. So that's okay.
When's the registration deadline?
The registration deadline, it would warm my heart, Luna, if you were registered prior to school starting. That would make my day. How about that? What do you think?
Okay,
Kate?
thanks.
Is that good?
Yeah.
All right.
So if kids don't go, like,
Yeah.
what do they do? Because this might be a way for me to talk Ashton into going. Like, what do they have to do if they don't go?
I don't know. Stay home. I have no idea. Not come to school.
Oh, okay. Nobody's
Yeah,
there.
it's not come to school. Yeah, because there's no one. All their classmates will be on the trip, and so they'll be. I mean, there's no one to go to school with, and the teachers are going on the trip too. So, yeah, yeah. So he would just be at home. So, yeah, I would encourage the trip. So, anything else? All right. 7:35. We're out of here. That was a half hour. Pat yourselves on the back. All right, y'all. I'm going to send a follow-up email. You'll get that from me mañana. And if you have any questions or whatever, just let me know. All right. Thanks. Bye.